My ex-fiancé just broke up with me and now he's stalking me because I moved on quickly.
Oh, the chase never stops.
So, I don't know, man. I, 28, had been with my fiancé, Alex, 34, since 2020. We met at a friend's party, hit it off, and had been together ever since.
Okay.
He finished his doctorate in economics just last year. Since then, he has been working at the uni. I have my master's in media sciences and decided to start working instead of going for a PhD. By the way, this comes from you, Past House 2508 on the ROK Storytime subreddit. So the problem is that Alex broke up with me last Monday. It was literally so surreal and honestly, just weird. For the past few months, he'd been acting strange. He was making demands and then dropping them immediately. A few examples. He told me we were going to paint our walls back from dark green to white. When I asked why, he just said, "For F's sake, forget it," and never brought it up again, even when I asked. Another time, he came home and got mad because I was sitting on the couch with my head covered in a blanket. I had cramps. He was upset because I was just sitting there watching Netflix. Mind you, the house was spotless. When I tried to talk about it, he said, "Forget it. It's not a big deal." That kind of thing became common. Every time I tried to communicate, tried to figure out what was going on, whether it was something I did or maybe he was just stressed at work, he would just say everything was fine, but he was clearly seething with rage. I didn't even have to do anything. He would just find something to complain about. The apartment, clothes, me, work, etc. So I gave him space, which apparently was also wrong. I told him I was going to help my parents with repairs for a few days, and somehow that was also wrong because he wanted to renovate the apartment too.
Oh my gosh. You can't do anything.
Yeah, geez. Then on Monday, I got a text saying we need to talk.
Ooh.
I knew what was coming, and after the last few months, I had made peace with it. When I came home, he was sitting on the couch. He didn't even wait for me to take off my jacket before saying, "I want to break up." Then the verbal diarrhea started. He told me he resented me. First, because I didn't pursue my academic career further, even though I was capable, and he didn't want to upset me at the time. Then, when I started making more money, since he didn't make much as a PhD student, he felt like I should have the last word financially, and he hated it. Mind you, I never said anything like, "It's my money, so I have the final say." That's a rule he imposed on himself, and he hated it. He said he hated our paint scheme, the couch, and even our effing crock pot. Then he told me he had rejected a better PhD program to stay here because I had already started my job by the time he got the acceptance letters. Only, he never even told me he had applied overseas. He said a few months ago he checked in with a friend who's in that program, saw how they were thriving, and decided I ruined his life. He said I had too much control over his life and that he hated the idea that I could just decide not to pay for things and F him over. I honestly don't even know what that means. He also said that he hated that all of his friends loved me and didn't let him vent about me. So clearly the problem is him. Then he said again, "I'm done." I was floored. I had already made peace with the idea that we were ending, and it hurt, but after that rant, I was just disgusted. I looked at him, probably with a disgusted expression, and said, okay, he lost it. He said this is exactly what he meant, that it was horrible. We had been together for 4 years, and all I had to say was okay to our breakup. I just asked if he wanted to stay here while he figured out where to go. He said, typical. Of course you're holding the apartment over me, and started ranting again. So I just left. I told my parents, and they're also confused. My dad suggested I reach out to our landlord and explain the situation to see what options I have. I can keep paying the rent, no problem myself. He covered the utilities and some subscriptions. Just to reiterate, I never had a problem with this. I saw that he was chasing his dream, and that was more important to me than a 50-50 financial split.
Being supportive.
What a reasonable woman.
Yeah, that's awesome that you did that.
I make good money and I'm happy at my job. I never saw it as slaving away. I always had the mentality that my money was our money because we were building a life together.
Aww.
Of course, I had my own savings and fun money, but I honestly never cared. As long as I felt he was working towards something and wasn't taking advantage of me, I was fine with it. more than fine. Alex is still mad. He's going between texting me like a robot about the logistics of the split to being a seething a-hole complaining about everything. I'm not even hurt anymore. I just feel nauseated by him at this point. I don't know. Should I have reacted differently? No. Edit. Thank you for all your opinions. It was nice to get this off my chest, LOL. Just to clarify though, I don't feel like a victim.
And I don't see you as one.
And no. I feel like something happened and my relationship just turned bad. He behaved like an a-hole, but that is the extent of it. Very clearly something is going on, but he doesn't want me to be part of whatever it is, and I have to respect that. Now I just have to detangle myself legally from him, and after that, I'll just be left alone with my ugly green wall color. I think I might also adopt a cat, as my ex was really allergic. I support that decision. Adopt that cat. Update 1. To start, Alex moved out pretty quickly after the breakup. He has been staying with a friend, and we sorted out everything like mail, subscriptions, and the lease. I'm also in the process of adopting a cat. Her name is Luna.
Aww.
That's so cute. But I've been thinking about changing it since my family already has 2 pets named Luna, Amun, and Kamar. She is still at her foster home for now, but I have visited her a few times and I already adore her. She's a scrappy little tabby who follows her foster mom around like a shadow, and I can't wait for her to move in during the first weeks of December. I've already gotten her bowls, toys, and a bed by the window ready. Now on to what happened. Last week, I was out showing someone around the city. He is the son of my parents' friends who recently moved here for work. My parents asked me to help him get familiar with the area, so I agreed.
I see you. I see you.
It was nothing special, just walking around, grabbing coffee, and pointing out useful spots in the city. Apparently, Alex saw us.
Oh, yeah, but he was like...
I didn't even realize he was there, but later that night, I started getting texts from an unknown number.
Oh, no.
That's weird. I guess he got a new number since I blocked his old one. The texts were just weird. He accused me of flaunting my new relationship in public, said I must have been seeing this guy before we broke up, and told me that everything he suspected about me was true. I didn't respond. I wasn't going to entertain his paranoia. The messages kept coming through. They went from angry to desperate, with him saying things like, at least admit you were lying to me, and was anything about us even real? It was exhausting and honestly a little scary to see how quickly he spiraled. For the record, this guy isn't my boyfriend. He's not even someone I'm interested in. He's just the son of family friends who needed help settling into the city. The whole thing was completely innocent, but Alex has twisted it into some kind of betrayal in his head. What gets me is how little Alex seems to know about me. I'm not the type of person to jump into a relationship so soon after everything that happened. Even if I were, it wouldn't be any of his business. We are done. I've made that clear. After I didn't respond to his texts, Alex started calling. I didn't pick up, but the voicemails were a mix of angry rants and desperate pleas. I ended up blocking his new number too. It feels ridiculous that I have to keep doing this, but I guess this is where we are now.
Were there any red flags before this? Can this just happen to someone like that?
I don't know, man. Some people, yeah, you never know. Then this weekend, I went out to a bar with my friends. A few hours in, guess who walked in?
Girl, you got to check everything you have. Check all your clothes. Check your phone. He's got a tracker on you.
He's got an air tag or something. Alex. I don't know if it was a coincidence or if he followed me there, but as soon as he spotted me, he came straight over. He was clearly upset, asking to talk, and I told him no. My friend stepped in and thankfully he left without causing a scene. But it ruined my night. It felt like I couldn't escape him no matter where I went or what I did. When I got home later that night, I was completely drained. I just started to relax when I heard a knock on my door. It was Alex, standing there in tears.
Call the cops.
He started crying, saying he missed me, that he didn't understand why I was doing this to him, and that he didn't know how to move on. It was like all the anger from earlier had been replaced with this desperate sadness. I didn't let him in. I told him he needed to leave, and if he didn't, I would call someone to make him leave. He begged me to listen, but I just closed the door. I spent the rest of the night feeling shaken and honestly a little scared. I don't know what he's going through. I wrote his best friend about the situation, but the plea of talking to him, he said he would. I'm seriously considering getting a new phone number and possibly even talking to someone about how to handle this legally if it keeps happening. It feels unfair that I have to go to these lengths just to have some peace. but I don't see another option.
Oh my God. And we have another update.
And there's another update.
Restraining order, of course, right?
Yeah.
At this point, you can do that.
If he keeps like showing up at her doorstep and like low key like harassing her, then yeah, she should. Update number 2. Thanks for the concern and support I've received. I'm fine, really. A lot of people suggested things like getting a restraining order, but I just want to clarify that it's not as simple as walking into an office and asking for one. The process involves proving there's an immediate danger to your safety, providing evidence like text calls or witnesses, and then attending court to get approval. It's not something you can do lightly or without solid proof. And no, I'm obviously not getting a gun. I've also seen people diagnosing Alex with various mental health issues, and I want to ask everyone to stop. Yes, something is clearly wrong, but I'm not a doctor and neither are most of you. It's not fair or helpful to label him with something like bipolar disorder or anything else without real expertise. For what it's worth, I don't actually feel like I'm in danger. In the past months, these were the only 3 incidents that happened. I don't think he's actively stalking me so much as he just knew my patterns. The bar we were at is my favorite spot, and it was a party of one of my closest friends, so it makes sense that he might have guessed that I'd be there. When he showed up at my apartment, he knows what time I usually get home. The city tour is the only thing that might have been more intentional, but it could also have been a coincidence that triggered everything. Anyway, this is the end of it. Yesterday, Alex came over with his mom and one of his friends. At first, I didn't want to let him in, but he promised me that this would be the last time I ever saw him. I agreed, mostly because his mom and friend were there, and I figured it would be more awkward to argue on my doorstep.
Okay, it's in a common,
Yes.
It's in a public place with
people.
With people.
Okay.
This is better.
When we sat down, Alex admitted that he was going through a crisis. He told me he was mad at me and he didn't know why. He said he didn't like me, that I annoy him, but that he weirdly still loves me, which is why he went crazy when he saw me with someone else. He assured me that there wasn't anyone else on his end either. He said he felt like he was going insane. He talked about how he feels judged for being older and not being able to give me the life he thinks I deserve. So, he's feeling bad about not being the provider. He said he hates his colleagues, hates his job, hates everything right now, and that everyone and everything annoys him. This is why they say, like, you can't be in a relationship until you learn to love yourself. Like, if everything in your life sucks and you're like, you know what, my partner sucks too, maybe think about how maybe the other things in your life that suck are making you think your partner sucks.
Yeah. Because if everything in your life is feeling this way, it might not be you.
Right. And it might not be the person that you're like, oh, this person sucks. Like when I'm stressed and down in the dumps, I get more annoyed at my partner too. It doesn't mean that they're doing anything wrong. I'm just stressed.
Yeah.
He told me he feels old and he should want kids at this point in life, but he doesn't. That thought terrifies him. He said he just wants to be alone and not talk to anyone for a while. I didn't say much. I mostly just nodded because I didn't know what to say. After he was done, he told me he was leaving. He's on some kind of mental health leave from work, and he said he's leaving the country on Sunday. He's going to South America to spend time in nature and find himself. He thanked me for everything and said he was sorry for how he acted. Then he just got up, grabbed the few things he had left at my place, and walked out. His mom was inconsolable. She kept apologizing to me over and over, saying how embarrassed she was by his behavior. I told her it was okay and that she didn't need to apologize for him. She cried a lot, and his friend ended up driving her home after Alex left. By the way, they left, but hopefully you can stay and watch us live on YouTube and Facebook every week at 3 p.m. PST. And we're probably live right now, so go tap on our profile. I don't think that this dude is like inherently a bad person. I think clearly he's going through a lot in his personal life, and then he's projecting it and like unfortunately decided to terminate his relationship because of it. But yeah, this is why I feel like a lot of problems in relationships, most of the time, it's not even about the partner. It's like you.
Whoa.
I don't really know how I feel about this. Part of me is relieved that it's over. Part of me feels sad for him because he clearly doesn't know how to deal with everything he's feeling. Mostly though, I just feel tired. I'm glad he's taking steps to figure himself out, but it's not my responsibility anymore.
Yeah. Good for you for figuring that out.
And I hope he finds himself and he finds his happiness. And
yep. Should we take him back? If he does, what he changes into his best self?
I don't see why not. That's a thing too. It's like, I think people can change. Doesn't seem like they had like a bad relationship. I think he just was like going crazy a little bit. So that's the end of that story.
Yep. We're going to get to the next one.